Hey guys, what's up? We're here with some Summoner's War. I'm just going to make this little video and talk about the secret dungeon that's open for the weekend. A little late getting this video up. I would have liked to have gotten this up a little earlier, but what are you going to do? Can't go back in time. So we got the water shark Aqcus. He's a cool little monster. Let's talk about his kit real quick, and then I'll go into it quick. There's CK at the end of that word. Talk about his kit real quick, and then we'll get into the details. Performs a lunge attack that damages an enemy while increasing your critical rate for 1 turn. Cool thing to note about this is that it's not dependent, so it's not like if this happens, you buff your crit rate. It's guaranteed. You're going to buff your crit rate, so you're going to have the crit buff for your next attack. Unless you get slept or stunned. Attacks an enemy target, decreasing its attack power and attack speed for 2 turns with an 80% chance. This is great. Really high chance to land. 2 very, very great debuffs to land. Attack power and attack speed. There's really nothing in the game you don't want to put these debuffs on. Anytime those debuffs are on an enemy, you are benefiting from it. Unless maybe it's Juno. But other than that, if you put those debuffs on something, it's going to benefit you. Passive. When landing is a critical hit, this attack additionally inflicts continuous damage for 1 turn on the target. If the target dies from this attack, you will heal as much as the amount of damage dealt as the finishing blow. The one thing to note about the passive is that the vampire effect is not reliant on a critical hit. So they are separate ideas in this passive. If you land a critical hit, he lands a dot. If you kill something, you will leech the health. That's part of it. That's part of the passive, part of your any attack. It has nothing to do with landing a critical hit. So if you kill something, you're going to get some health back. And he has the 23% speed lead for water monsters. Ordinarily, it can be kind of a bummer when a leader skill is element exclusive, meaning, you know, it only applies to the element of this monster, because in a lot of cases you want to bring monsters of different elements, and it's just always nice when a leader skill applies to everybody. It's not as much of a bummer for this monster though, because you have really useful monsters that you can bring with him that are water, like Megan, who brings the attack defense buff and the attack bar boost. You've got Orion, who has the attack bar boost and the debuffs on the enemy. You have options in this case, and they're easy. They're obtainable options. You know, pulling a Megan is not a crazy feat. Building a Megan is not that difficult. And if you have a Megan, you've automatically got 23% speed on her. Like if you make him the leader. So it's not as much of a bummer in this case. So don't let that hold you back from thinking this monster has potential to be useful. Let's talk about stages of the game where you're going to get something out of this monster. If you're an early game player, he's an excellent monster. He really is. He's a great water nuker. He's very easy to build, and he can pretty much rip through Fame on normal and Fame on hard with decent runes. Like you don't have to get super crazy runes on him for him to be able to rip through those stages. So he's a great early game farmer that does not require a ton of rune farming. Basically, you just fill in the slots with what they need to have and get some decent subs, and he's going to be able to farm for you. That's a really cool thing about him. He's a cool mid-game monster. As you progress through the game and you get better runes on him, he has his uses. He can be effective in some dungeons. He has specific PvP uses, but in those uses he really shines. And we'll talk about that we'll talk about all this in more detail in a second. And I do believe there comes a point where you'll outgrow him. You know, there are monsters that are better options for what he's bringing to the table, but he's still a cool monster. I don't think you'd ever regret building him, even if you decided to 6-star him and then you hit a point where it's like, I've outgrown him. I personally don't think you'd regret building him. He's really cool. You're going to get a lot out of him. It's kind of like Ramagos in the sense that you're going to hit a point where you don't really use him anymore, but I don't think you're ever going to regret. I think you're going to get so much out of him that it's going to be like, it was worth everything I put into him. So not that Ramagos can't be useful later in the game. I'm just saying, I don't remember the last time I used my Ramagos, and he was all I used early game and a lot of mid game. I used him in everything I did, so that was the point. Anyway, let's talk about the dungeon use that I mentioned. He's got, again, two very useful debuffs that you want to take into pretty much every dungeon, the attack power and the attack speed. Those are very useful debuffs. He's got a very high chance to land them. Excellent. He has the dot. It is crit rate dependent, however, he buffs his own crit rate. So he's going to be landing a dot pretty often, especially if you ran him up for crit rate. He's going to be throwing dots on. If you're taking attack bar boosters with him and speed boosters with him, he's going to be getting more turns. He's going to be throwing on more dots. He's going to be leeching health when he kills things in the waves. It's going to make it more likely that he'll be alive when you get to the boss. He is a monster that is going to need some good support if you want to use him in places like Giants and Dragons. He's going to need the Shannon or the Megan giving him the defense buff. He's going to need the healers. He's going to need the speed buff. He's going to need all these things, but he's useful if you can keep him alive. What is this music? This is supposed to be rock music. Maybe this will be better. That's rock, copyright-free rock music. Jesus. Okay. What was I talking about? Dungeons. Yes. To take him into the dungeons, he's going to need the support. And the reason he's going to need the support is he's a 3-star attack monster. He's not going to be super tanky. I think when you 6-star him, I think his base HP is like 9,000 something, low 9,000, which is not shit, but it's not great. I mean, it's decent for a 3-star attack monster. I think his attack hits like high 700s maybe. I don't think it's, again, nothing, you're not going to look at his stats and go, holy shit, these are amazing, and you're not going to look at him and go, holy shit, these suck. They're very middle of the line, balanced stats. He's probably the most balanced of the sharks. His base speed is not too bad, it's 105. Let's talk about the 23% speed lead on that. So you're looking at probably close to 130 speed with no speed runes, no substats on speed. Just his leader skill and his base speed puts him around 130-ish. Somewhere in the ballpark of 130. Let's see. What else did I say? PvP uses. He has, as I said, very specific PvP uses. However, in those uses he shines. What I mean by that is a lot of people, when they're putting together their defenses, the number one thought on their mind is, I don't want to get Lucianed. I have to build something that is not going to get Lucianed. That's the main thought when you're constructing a defense. You want it to be challenging. You want it to put up a fight against everything, but your primary thought is, I don't want Lucian to come in and one-shot everybody I have. So there's fire monsters. You've seen people put fire monsters in their defense. So if you can afford bringing in a single target nuke, this feeds right into that. They're setting themselves up to be taken out by a monster like this, who is not super hard to rune. And if you bring him an attack buff and you bring him a defense break, it's highly likely he's going to take somebody out, especially if they're fire. Especially you get an elemental advantage. It's very likely he's going to come in and take somebody out. So if you've got a Galleon, that's amazing. Bella does a defense break. Orion will occasionally do a defense break. I believe Rebecca, the Fire Mystic Witch, has an AoE defense break. Luer has an AoE defense break. Lots of monsters have defense breaks, and then a lot of them are not super hard to obtain. So you bring him into a guild war with a Megan and a Bella, and he goes last. You bring him in with an Orion and a Galleon, or whatever, you know. Anybody that's going to give him that combination that you can single target nuke. If it's a defense setup that you could nuke, and then be okay having the 3-2 advantage, he shines, and he's going to shine for you in situations like that, especially early game. It's a lot easier to do things like that early game with monsters like this in the lower level guild battle. So early game, great monster. Mid game, still a solid monster. You will eventually outgrow him, but I don't think you'll ever regret spending time on him. I would say farm him. I would say farm as many as you can, skill him up, and have some fun with him. He's a cool little monster. He's not a game changer. You're not going to pull him and build him and totally have everything change for you, but a cool monster. So the verdict on this one would be, yeah, go ahead and farm him. If you're early game and you farm him and you manage to get a few of them, and you don't have anything else going on, I'd expedite him, get him built, get him ruined, get some use out of him. He's going to do a lot for you. Mid game, depending on what you've got going on, if you need a water nuker, go ahead, shoot him up, build him. You'll be surprised at what a little 3-star attacker is going to do for you. Let's talk about runes real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. He is a cool monster in the sense that you can put a lot of different things on him. Basically, you just want the stats. You want the attack, you want the crit rate, you want the crit damage. Speed is never a bad idea, but again, if you're bringing attack bar boosters and speed stuff with him, not super important. HP, it's probably not a bad idea to get a little HP in the subs because, again, 3-star attack monster, it's going to be a little squishy. You could even get away with throwing HP on one of your 2/4/6s, to be honest. You know, you could still get what you need out of him by doing that. You could put him on early game. It'd be really easy to put him on Fatal, and you could put him on full attack. Like that's a really easy way to go about it early game. You could put him on Swift if you wanted him to be faster, but you didn't want to give up slot 2 for speed. You could put him on a Swift set and still go full attack. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. Last time. You could put him, as time progresses, maybe you find some rage runes in the shop, or you get some decent rage runes from the lower levels of Necro. You throw him on Rage Blade, he's going to do really well. Vampire is a really cool set for him. Revenge is a really cool set for him. You put him on Revenge, he's basically going to keep a crit rate buff on himself. And one cool idea there is that he revenges, he buffs his own crit rate, he gets hit again, now he's revenging with the crit rate buff. And if he doesn't, he's basically going to keep his crit rate buff, is what I'm saying there. So that Vampire Revenge makes it a lot easier for him to farm Faemon Hill. You don't need quite as intense rune quality because, as I said, he can farm normal and hard without crazy runes. If you want him to farm Faemon Hill for you, he's going to have a pretty solid rune build on him. So Vampire Revenge is going to make that a lot easier. You're not going to need as crazy runes as if he was on Fatal or something like that. So those are good ideas. I don't really see why Despair would be viable unless you've just got a killer Despair set to throw on him. He's not AoE. He's not doing a bunch. Despair is pointless. But Violent, Vampire, Fatal, Rage, Swift, Revenge is a great offset. Energy would be a cool offset. It would save you the HP. Blade is a great offset. Again, not a hard monster to build. You have a ton of options. If you want to just throw random runes on him to get his attack up, that would work too. But that's it. So yeah, my official verdict on him is farm him, build him, have some fun with him. Don't expect him to totally change your game, but if you're early/mid game, I believe he's going to improve things for you a little bit. And that's about it. So I hope this was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.